Hello friends, Fujo here. I'm incredibly excited to be sharing with you an update and my initial reaction to an article that Blizzard just released talking about and announcing the Year of the Dragon. In this article, they recap the Year of the Raven, they announced new single-player content, part of which is paid. They made updates to Arena, and they announced, most importantly, the Hearthstone Hall of Fame class of 2019. And I don't want to give too much away, but there are two very exciting announcements coming for the Hall of Fame that I'm sure a lot of us are going to be very excited about. Let's get into the article. So the article starts with a recap of the Year of the Raven. They talk about the new player 25 ranks that they've added. They talk about the changes to the stars required to be ranking up, and they talk about the fact that they've had 2 balance patches in the past 2 months. And while all of that was great and some of the other things I mentioned in the intro, the real meat and potatoes comes from the Hearthside chat. And what they do here is they first introduce a new executive producer for the team, but then probably more importantly for us, what they do is they share with us an image. And this is an image that we have seen before in Hearthstone. And what this is effectively a preview for the themes of all of the upcoming expansions for this year. And that's one of the things they say in the Hearthside chat, is that they want to have an overall theme for the entirety of the Year of the Dragon. So they want all 3 expansions to kind of have some sort of tie-in with one another. And that sounds really cool. Now, one of the things that they say, you know, take a look at these pictures, make your predictions, what do you think they're about? So let's go ahead and do that. And the one thing that I've talked about a lot on stream, and it has leaked into a lot of the gameplay that we post here on YouTube as well, is the fact that Expansion 2 of 2019 is released right around the same time that they've announced Classic WoW to be coming out. So I'm expecting Expansion 1. This looks like some sort of World of Warcraft magic style, arcane magic Dalaran mages. This purple and white, we've seen Jaina even in Hearthstone dressed in clothing with this color scheme. I'm expecting this to be some sort of Dalaran mage inspired. There's going to be some dragons. It's Year of the Dragon. We're definitely going to have some dragon synergy. Expansion 2, with this sort of blue, at first I thought maybe this was Nagas, things like that, maybe some more sea serpent type of creatures, but then I'm thinking, no, this is going to be time traveling, because if we recall back to the World of Warcraft Classic WoW expansion, they showed the expansions from World of Warcraft in reverse order, all the way back, in increasing speed. It was very dramatic, my heart was beating, all the way back to the beginning of the first WoW expansion. So that's what I think Expansion 2 is going to be doing to start up that Classic WoW Hearthstone expansion, because if they don't do that, I don't know what's going on. Expansion 3, the only reason why I'm thinking this might not actually be the case is because Expansion 3, if you look here, there's the wood, there's kind of the kind of like the tooth spike, kind of looks very classic Warcraft orcs versus humans, which is like pre-WoW times. So if Expansion 2 isn't bringing Classic WoW, Expansion 3 actually looks more like it, but I'm going to justify that Expansion 2 will correlate in a timeline with Classic WoW, so that's when they're going to do their Hearthstone Classic WoW expansion as well. So we have that information as well from the Hearthside chat. They then talk about the solo content, which they said was a very big success, and I would tend to agree. They then said solo content is going to continue in the upcoming expansions, which is great. And they said there's going to be multiple weeks worth of content, and I thought that's great. And then they said the first one will be free, and I said, because if the first one's free, then they have announced that subsequent weeks or wings, if you're thinking from Naxxramas and Blackrock Mountain, subsequent weeks will then cost either 700 gold, and this comes up later in the article, or 19.99 USD, which also comes with packs being rewarded for completing entire wings, because this is in addition to the expansions, not as a substitute. We're not going back to any sort of solo play expansions. But I just thought that was kind of interesting that they're kind of adding on an extra, effectively $60 total if you want the entire Hearthstone experience for the entirety of the year. They also said that they were going to allow epic quests to get re-rolled. I don't know why you would want to do these. I love the free pack quests. They also announced the fact that they're going to have this very cool random card back option. So whenever you start a game, you get a random card back from your entirety of your collection, and so you don't get stuck with the Winter's Veil card back like I do for the entirety of the year, because I never change it. But to be perfectly honest, that's cool, but I think I'd rather have this wooden card back, because this looks a little bit cooler than a random one. I'm assuming they'll get that feedback from other people as well, and then they will have to add it to the game somehow. But let's be honest here, the real meat and potatoes of this article, the reason why people are so excited about this announcement is the Hall of Fame. Announcements to Arena are great. all of that other solo playing content is also fantastic. But let's look at this. 9 cards are moving to the Hall of Fame, and that's really what this announcement is all about. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the first 3. Naturalize. I'm very disappointed in myself that I didn't do my own video. Naturalize was very high on my list of cards to get nerfed. Doomguard. Unexpected, but we'll read through their explanation. It's kind of understandable. And Divine Favor was another card that was also on my list of cards to get thrown to the Hall of Fame. So I'm very disappointed in myself that I didn't do that type of video. I mean, I talked about it on stream, but never had a whole separate YouTube video about it. Let's go through this very quickly. Naturalize, their explanation is basically saying that Druid has always had excellent flexibility and a number of different tools when it comes to generating mana, cards, and minions, but have long struggled to remove their opponent's large minions. Agreed, and also wide boards. Naturalize effectively nullifies that weakness. Yep. Giving Druids a powerful option in matchups where card advantage doesn't matter, and a lot of times it doesn't. Moving into the Hall of Fame enforces the Druid's weakness in removing large minions, maintaining its class identity. Good explanation, good card to leave. They kind of wanted to get rid of milling effects as well when they got rid of Cold Light Oracle, so it kind of makes sense that Naturalize would be the next one on the chopping block. Doomguard, their explanation reads, as Masters of Demons, Warlocks have long been a powerful board class control. Even Zoo was very board classy in the early game. While we like that minion combat as much part of Warlock's identity as destructive magic, we want to acknowledge and embrace the class's weakness when they lose control of the board. Interesting. To that end, we want to limit the amount of damage a Warlock can deal from their hand. As a powerful charge minion, Doomguard pushes against Warlock class identity, so we're moving into the Hall of Fame. That's very interesting. They don't want Warlock to have a lot of damage from hand, because right now, I mean, Hellfires are damaged from hand, Doomguards are damaged from hand. It's kind of interesting. I like it, and honestly, less direct face damage in Hearthstone is probably better. It's less potential for combo decks. I know we all saw the plague of Q block, and I mean, it's still going to exist in Wild, and I'm sorry, but at least Standard will be safe from that combo for now. Until the next thing, or the people just sub in Leroy. Or is it also hitting the Hall of Fame? We'll see. Divine Favor explanation. Over the past several years, we've seen a number of strong, aggressive Paladin decks. Oh, yes, we have. While we like Paladin's identity as a minion summoning and minion buffing class with a fair amount of resource generation, card draw doesn't also need to be one of the Paladin's strengths. It doesn't. Divine Favor is one of the most cost-effective draw spells in the game, so to better emphasize other classes' strengths and to provide better control over the power level of future aggressive Paladin decks, because we know they're always going to be there, because a lot of the core is always going to remain with Paladin, we are moving Divine Favor to the Hall of Fame. I like it. Divine Favor was a card people have talked about for quite a while. Anytime there's aggro Paladin decks, Divine Favor is a real engine there, because you lose all your cards and you think, oh, finally we exhausted all of Paladin's resources. They have no cards in their hand. I can handle a 1-1 every turn, or 2 1-1s every turn, depending what type of Paladin you're playing. But then they Divine Favor and their hand is full and you have to do it all over again, and sometimes that second push is just too much and then you end up losing. So those are great cards to be having rotated to the Hall of Fame, but let's be perfectly honest. These are the 2 that everyone wanted. I'm so excited that Baku, the Moon Eater, and Genn Greymane are getting rotated in 2019. We don't have to deal with this for another year. This is amazing, amazing news. Baku and Genn are powerful cards that have promoted new strategies since their introduction in the metagame. Those strategies have been more prevalent than we'd intended in Standard, and we felt that they might end up overshadowing what we're going to introduce in the Year of the Dragon. I agree. Promoted new strategies. I'll admit, only odd cards, only even cards is a new strategy, but it is a very limiting strategy. It's a strategy where it says, here, make a deck, but only use 50% of the cards in the game and get this huge benefit right away. And it's a cool concept, implemented maybe not in the most... It just didn't work out, and I think that's what they say, where they just said, you know, they didn't want it to overshadow in order for set rotation to breathe new life into Standard, and that's a big point as well. This rotation would not have really mattered if Baku Paladin and Odd Rogue were still just dominating in a lot of different ways. They need to maintain overall health of the ladder. Yes, we are rotating Baku and Genn into Hall of Fame a year earlier than normal. They just said, you know what, we done goofed, get them out of here. And then in addition, they said 9 cards are rotating, and that's fine. These poor cards... We barely, I mean, we saw a couple eels, we saw a little black cat, the moth and the stag. We hardly knew you. Good luck, everyone. You're gonna get your dust. This is just fantastic news. And so they have said, of course, obviously, full arcane dust for all the cards, and dust will be automatically awarded once you log in after the Year of the Dragon begins. You don't have to do anything. You just turn on the game of Hearthstone after Year of Dragon. You get a ton of dust. So I know that was the real excitement of this announcement, to be perfectly honest, but people are still excited for the single player experience. Let's just very quickly touch on a couple things, and there is one little teaser image that we can also look at. I already mentioned the fact that the additional chapters are going to be 700 gold, or you can purchase the entire experience for $19.99. Like I said, that's just like an Axe and Blackrock Mountain used to be, the previous solo content type of expansions. But the interesting thing is they say after completing each chapter, you'll earn 3 card packs from the new expansion, and for completing all 5 chapters, you get a card back and a golden pack. So that's actually becomes something now. Let's go ahead and make this just a little bit larger and take a look at this. So they're showing off here anomaly mode. I don't know what that is. Heroic mode. That sounds cool. Tavern encounters. Don't know what any of that is, but they're showing us cool words. 9 henchman heroes, 27 hero power. So there's 3. A bunch of starting decks, so it's going to be similar. Probably build your deck like in all of the other solo content that we've seen so far. 5 chapters. We know it's going to probably be like Wings, like an Axe and Blackrock Mountain. 75 bosses. Track your victories. Pause mid-game. I think that's important, because you can always take as long as you want on your turns, but you can't walk away because then you lose. And I've had that happen. That's kind of stinks. I don't know what this is. Shadow Cloak. We're assuming, actually, I can assume that it is this picture over here. This part of the picture over here. Kind of looks like Doctor Strange's cloak. So that's something at least. 15 card packs. So you're getting your 3 packs for 5 wings, plus 1 golden classic pack. That's going to be almost worthwhile. It's still over $1 per pack, but you get the golden classic pack, which is obviously rated at more than $1 per pack. So that's kind of cool. We can then come and take a look at some of the other teasers that there are in this image. This to me very much looks like Dalaran Sewers, so maybe my theory of the first expansion being Dalaran Arcane Mage based kind of has a little bit more support behind that. We also see the different hero powers. We have the original, you see choose a hero, choose a starting deck. You have a mage. What hero power do you want? You have the original. You have some sort of book hero power, and then you have Frostbite, which is, I'm assuming, some sort of freezing type of thing. We have choose your hero, so there is a panda warrior. There's some sort of snake shaman, some sort of fox rogue. That's kind of cool. Different heroes for everyone to play with and kind of work through the solo content. That's very interesting. I'm not sure that I love the fact that it is free, because they just said it's always going to be, just included as bonus content to all the expansions. But this is something we will have to be paying for now, but it is obviously in addition to. This is separate from your cards. You're just getting packs from it. It's not like cards are getting unlocked like they used to be with the solo content. The last thing that I want to end on is the fact that the arena experience is changing. What they're going to be doing is rotating sets by adding new ones twice every expansion to keep things fresh. This is incredible. We've also talked about this in the past on stream, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So, upon the start of the Year of the Dragon, the following sets will be in Arena: Basic, Classic, Nax, Old Gods, Mean Streets, and Witchwood. And then the first expansion of the year, which is going to be some, I'm assuming, some Dalaran magic sort of thing like that. That is super cool. I'm not a huge Arena player whatsoever, partially because I'm no good at it. But that's really, really interesting, just to have different card sets that don't really go together. We've never seen Nax interacting with Witchwood cards because they've never been in Standard at the same time. I think that's really, really cool. That's a really good idea to try and have Arena stay a little fresh for Arena players. If that's rotating twice per expansion, that's going to be a lot of change and a really cool way to keep Arena fresh. I really like it. Alright, so that is going to do it for me. Obviously, the big news of the day is that Baku and Genn are rotating in less than 2 months' time. This is very good news, both for the short-term and long-term health of Hearthstone. We only have these on the ladder to deal with for a couple more months, and the long-term health of Hearthstone, I think, is in good hands if the team is willing to make changes, and significant changes. Rotate a card a year before it's supposed to rotate for the hopeful health of the laddering experience. I think that's really good. That's a really positive thing. I'm very excited. I'm reinvigorated, re-excited for the upcoming rotation, upcoming expansions, and the future of Hearthstone. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Hopefully I will see you very, very soon on the ladder. Have a good one.